spent 22 months in combat without a panic attack, then had 2 in my first 3 years as an entrepreneur. Today, Dr. Anna Marie breaks down why high performers burn out and how to realign before your body forces you to. Welcome to the No Limits Leadership Podcast. We discuss ancient wisdom, real-world experiences, and the latest concepts on mastering leadership of self and others. If you're committed to maximizing your life and your impact on the world, you're home. Welcome to the No Limit Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Sean Patton. I am so excited for our guest today. She's Dr. Anna Marie, known as the Mindset Doctor. She helps peak performers break free from burnout, overachievement, and misalignment so they can lead and live with clarity, energy, and purpose. She is a doctor of traditional naturopathy with a PhD in natural medicine and brings over 20 years of experience in brain health, behavior change, and performance. She is the founder of Happy Whole You, host of the Happy Whole You podcast, and author of both Stop Bullying Yourself and Activate Your Extraordinary. Anna, thanks for being on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to dive in and have a deep conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really interested to get your insight with the strength of your background in wellness and really maximizing someone's potential in this brain-body connection. It's so critical as so many leaders, whether in the corporate space or the entrepreneurial space, I see them burn out. And I'm interested to hear what you're seeing from your patients with higher levels of responsibility, senior executives and entrepreneurs. Because I can tell you that when I was in the military, I spent almost 2 years of my life, 22 months in combat and not a single panic attack. And I had 2 my first 3 years as being an entrepreneur. So it's real out there. Do you see a correlation between people as they rise in an organization or as they take a leadership role and ending up having some sort of mental or physical ailment they have to come to you for?
Yes, 100%. And I have a thought around why this is occurring. So anytime we're experiencing anxiety or depression or any type of mental challenge, often it's because we are out of alignment with our true authentic self. And what I have found through my work with many high-level executives, founders, is that there's a part of the journey where we start to, we have these values, we have these principles, but we start to lose sight of why we started, where we're going, and the difference we want to make in the world. And we start sacrificing ourself and our true purpose, chasing the carrot and getting to the next level. And so when we are doing that more often than not, our body starts speaking to us. Digestive issues, sleep issues, anxiety, hormone shifts. And there's a laundry list of things that start happening. And the body is trying to speak to us to say, hey, you're out of alignment. And I'm trying to talk to you. And the body will speak louder and louder and louder until you slow down, take a breath, and really take inventory of your life, where you're at and where you're going. So I think the body speaks to us when we are in really misdirection.
We're relating to this so much. It's interesting for me. I mentioned before sort of the military background. I just bring this up because my personal journey through what you're talking about was a decade of basically learning not to not listen to your body, like listen to your body, but like that the way that feedback is given to you. Yeah, mind over matter, right? If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's what you say. Yeah. And just like pushing through was kind of always the answer. And then when I got out of the military and became an entrepreneur and didn't have that skill set, like I could push myself literally to death if I needed to, and almost did, but there was always this like outside structure or organization that was creating a boundaries for me, right? Like the mission ended, you always redeployed, there was a support staff, like there was rest, it was like built into that where I didn't really have to think about it. I could just focus on going. And so I never really developed this ability to listen to my body. And to your point, what I've seen with myself and others is that I had to hit that physical point where I had stress hives and my appendix almost burst and my hormones were messed up, all the things that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And I had to hit the end. And now I feel like, I'm interested to learn even more, because what I'm most interested in now is like, what is the earliest indicator? Like when do I initially notice before I end up in the hospital that I may be out of alignment? So I'm interested in what if someone's like, oh crap, yes, and I don't want to get there, like how does this first show up?
Well, it first shows up with some people. Everybody's different. But like, for example, one small thing you can do is you can stick out your tongue and let it hang out. And if your tongue is quivering, your tongue should be able to, you should be able to stick your tongue out, let it lay flat, and it doesn't move. If it is constantly quivering, that is telling me you're probably burning the candles at both ends, that your nervous system is very stressed. So yeah, yours is pretty relaxed. I can also see there's
Pretty
some
good.
digestive things going on with you.
Oh no. God, we gotta
I'm
do a whole
sorry, I
separate
should ask.
appointment.
Can I analyze it?
Oh, please do. Yeah, okay. What's going on? I got digestive stuff.
Yeah, so I would say you definitely need some digestive support, clean up your liver a little bit. And then I'm wondering, did you ever have any breathing issues, lung issues, asthma, a lot of grief in your life that you've dealt with? Because that also shows up
Oof.
on your tongue.
Interesting. I would say I haven't had breathing issues, that I know of, grief, trauma, stuff like that,
Mhm.
potentially, yeah.
Yeah. And then the
Mhm.
other thing I'd encourage you to do is just paying attention if you're shallow breathing and you're not actually fully taking deep breaths, because we
Mm.
often think about, going asthma and like shortness of breath. And we forget too that there is this natural deep breathing that when we were a child, we did. And as we get older and as we get more stressed, our lung capacity goes down because we're actually breathing up in our shoulders. We're not doing deep belly
Mm.
breaths. We're not relaxing into our breath, which helps with our central nervous system. And when the tongue is quivering, that central nervous system is trying to scream at us to say, hey, can you take a beat? Can you slow down? So yeah, the tongue is a great indicator of giving us some insight. Also, paying attention, like when we have some self-reflection, it's called metacognition. Like when we're looking inward at like, how am I thinking about my life? How am I speaking about my life? And if you're a high performer, there's a certain push that that voice in your head gives you to go to the next level, to push through, to keep going. And it's encouraging and it like gives you energy. When
Mhm.
that voice shifts gears and turns into you're not doing enough, you have to do it now or it's never going to happen for you. Hurry, hurry, rush, rush. What can you get? This is a red flag. Often, this is when you're leading with your ego versus leading with your soul. And let
Mm.
me share with you the difference because I think the ego is important because the ego helps us show up. The ego is going to help you go to combat. The ego is going to help me show up on this podcast and think, wow, people want to hear what I have to say, right? Like the
Yeah.
ego helps you show up. But the order matters. If we're leading with ego first, you're going to always create a fracture in that relationship, in that business venture, in the energy. If soul shows up first, soul says, I really want to do this thing because I know I'm going to make the biggest difference. I want to help you, but I need nothing in return. Soul says, I see you, you see me. I need nothing from you. You don't need anything from me. When we show up in that energy first, it creates this amazing ability to connect and feel like we belong. But if we show up with ego first, ego creates that fracture. It disrupts the central nervous system. And so often what's starting to happen is like, I don't know what your experience was with the military, but I'm going to guess maybe this isn't true for you, but like you knew from like a young age or you knew from like the moment you saw it, you're like, I want to do that. Like, I want to do that. Like, your whole body had this visceral reaction of showing up in the military and wanting to lead your country. And it felt so aligned. And it wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily, what can I get from this? You were like, what can I do? How can
Mhm.
I serve? Right. And so sometimes when we shift into, something that's not so aligned, but we're like, oh, it'll make me all this money, or oh, it'll give me this platform, it'll get me these followers. This is when we're leading with ego. And then we wonder why we achieve the thing or we fall short of it and we feel empty inside. The worst is when we achieve it and we still feel empty. Often that's an indicator you led with ego versus soul. So
Mhm.
these are just some things that I work with my high executives. Like we get to check ourselves. I always say we get to check ourselves before we wreck ourselves. But it's that reflection, that inner reflection of like, who am I? What am I showing up doing? How am I trying to make a difference? Am I leading with my ego or am I leading with my soul? What is my body saying to me? If my body is telling me, get the freaking F out of this meeting, and I'm sitting there in silence, I am abandoning myself because there's a fracture there. Something isn't right. So I don't know if I answered your question, but like these are all things that I think are important to really look at and consider when we're leading, or else we are going to have panic attacks. We're not going to feel okay inside. Our relationships are going to suffer. Our health is going to suffer. We're going to get sick.
So, what I heard there was this creating space and time to do the metacognition, to think about the thoughts and the stories, and are those thought do you feel aligned with those? And what also came up was, in my coaching a lot, we talk about vision. Like, vision is the boss, and like knowing that vision. But it sounds like there maybe hasn't been, or maybe it's surpassed, or we've outgrown, or something in our life has changed and thrown off maybe this initial vision or story we had for ourselves. So I guess the first step would be getting clear on that, right? Because, it's one thing to be like, well, I'm headed this way. Oh, I'm not aligned. But if don't actually have that articulated well, of like, what are you trying to do here? Like, what
Right.
are those sort of things? Like, what does that conversation look like when someone hasn't, or is struggling with, well,
Like, what's
where
my
am I
purpose?
headed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where should I be heading right now? How about,
Yeah. Well, it's really stepping into what really aligns with you. Like, when's the last time you felt like that energy of like you were unstoppable?
Mm,
Like, you were just so excited. You weren't even thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You just knew, I want to do this thing. I want to show up in this way. And
mhm,
it's like when you're courting someone, when you see that person that you're like, oh my gosh, like, that's your person, you're not
mhm,
thinking of all the things that could go wrong. Everything in your body says yes. And you are showing up in a way that is like, how can I connect with you? How can I connect with you? How can I make you just feel amazing versus what can I get from you? Right?
mhm,
Like, it's a very subtle thing. It's when you're putting somebody else first. That's alignment. That is soul. So then it's like diving into, when have you experienced these instances in your life? It could be too, because often, like when we're talking with entrepreneurs, it's like everything almost becomes a business, right?
yeah.
But it's like, oh, well, if it doesn't make me money, then I shouldn't do it. Right. So it's also stepping into, what do you love that you are not doing? Did you used to paint? Did you used to
Mm,
dance? Did you used to sing? What did you used to do that brought you so much joy and that you're not doing now? And then why are you not allowing yourself to have the time and the space to do that now? And I think often we have like a vision, but it's like we're trying to get to the end before we're even like in the experience. So our brain is constantly in the future versus being right here in the present.
mm,
Because if we're constantly in the future, we are missing what's right here. And that is a special place that we all get to try to be in, is like right now, right here in this moment. And so
mhm,
for anyone that's listening, if your brain is going to like, oh gosh, what should I be doing? All these things. I'm looking at my tongue right now. Again, you're not in this moment. And it's a practice. And it gives us an opportunity to literally calm our nervous system, because I believe that we are antennas and we are receiving divine information, but we have to have a clear vessel to receive that information. And so when we don't know exactly what it's going to look like or exactly what we're supposed to be doing, it's the slowing down, the getting quiet so that divine information can come in. I can't tell you how many times I drive down a road and all of a sudden, boom, the very thing that I was like trying to think about, how do I do it? And like, I'm like all in my head about it. And I can't figure out like exactly how to approach it. I have an idea, but I'm just like, it doesn't feel like it flows. All of a sudden, I'm literally driving down the road, relaxing in, going down the road, not thinking of anything. And boom, I get that hit. And I'm like,
mhm,
oh, yeah, that's the name of my book. That's someone I actually need to call. I need to follow up with them. So if we don't know, we get to slow down and we get to get aligned and get quiet and allow the information to come into us. And so sometimes that takes, a session where we're getting quiet, meditating, visualization, someone just asking you the questions to get you out of that loop thinking. Because often we have this loop thinking with our neural pathways that are so strong. We think the way we think, and, we have these blinders on. So that's where like having a coach is great, because they're going to ask you questions, like you're going to ask your clients questions that get them out of that loop thinking, and it
mhm.
opens their mind up to other things that are possible and the things they might not have thought about before. because they're so hyper focused on how they're thinking and what they're thinking that they're missing that divine connection that is trying to come through. So it's really powerful when we get quiet.
Yeah, there's actually a great, like, this is old, but, like, Bruce Lee quote. He's like, "There's wisdom in the silence."
Yeah.
And I love how you brought that up, and it's for me too, that, like, the slowing down, and listening and making time for that can be so counter to the, at least how I have been in my life, which is, time is money, right? Like, and time is money, and how am I maximizing, I would justify, be like, I'm not, how am I maximizing my time because I don't want to waste my time because I'm grateful because I have this time. Like, I'm so grateful for the life I have and all things I could do. I don't want to waste it. And then for so long in my life, not waste it meant, how much productivity can I cram into this minute? And I see so many other
I,
people thinking that way.
I
So yeah. What's a new story? What's a new story? If that's the story, or someone's like, that's the story I have in my head.
Mhm.
What's a new story that you think would be more resourceful?
I think it's actually beyond a story. I think it's
Mm.
a state of being of like our lives right now. Your reality in your body is reflecting back to you the very frequency that you are putting out in the world. The very thing that you are putting out, how you are existing, you are attracting back to you. So it's very important for us to recognize this because if you're not feeling complete and happy with where you're at, the beautiful part is you get to shift to change that. And often it's not going and doing a bunch more things, it's actually getting aligned, getting yourself in the frequency to attract what you want. And listen, if someone would have told me this like 8, 10 years ago, I would have been like, okay, like I got stuff to do. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's so true. It is so true. I've seen it in my own life. Immediate changes, immediate things coming into my field, into my life that I only was trying to work so hard for. That when I allowed myself to feel the thing I thought I would feel when, to feel it now, to attract it in, to call it in, it's happening. I'll give you an example because I know this is kind of like it can sound woo woo. So I was applying to do a TED Talk. And my TED Talk was going to be about neuroscience and the brain. And I was literally, and by the way, I was leading with my ego, which what I realized through this whole process. So I was like, I want to be on this TED stage so I can show people how smart I am. I can have TEDx next to my name. Like, this is going to help me in so many ways. All right. Now, as I was applying for these 100 TED Talks, it wasn't like I was thinking I was leading with my ego first. I didn't even realize that until now. And through this process, something happened and it allowed me to shift my perspective and to take a step back and look at what I was doing. And what I realized I was doing as I was leading with my ego and seeing what I could get out of being on a TED stage. Out of those almost 100 applications, I was denied or did not hear back from a single one of them. Fast forward, I did some reflection and what I learned through going through that process. And my new TED Talk that I had an idea for, I put it together. I applied for one TED Talk. And then I was like, you know what? If I don't do this TED Talk, I'm just going to buy myself a circle, a red circle, and I'm going to stand outside the circle and I'm going to give my talk. Because my title of my talk was the time I almost met others to feel like I belonged. Because I thought if I got on that TED stage, I would finally be enough. And that one application I'm in the semifinals for. But then I also got a call from someone in Europe who heard about my idea from a friend of mine. And he was like, hey, yeah, do you want to come in August? We'd love to have you on our stage.
That's awesome.
So not only am I on the semifinals for one in Texas, I have an offer to go to Europe to give this talk. And I applied for one, and I am literally looking at the other 100 that I applied for with the energy of, I want to prove how smart I am. I want that TED next to my name. I was leading with ego. There was a fracture there. The energy signal going up was give me, give me, give me. I need, I need, I need. Versus the signal now is like alignment. I got something really cool to share. And whether they take me on the TED stage or not, I'm still going to deliver this. And that's the energy that I'm talking about, that we all get to relax into. My friend Courtney McDermott, she's an amazing speaker, author. She always reminds me we get to relax into the state of being. that we want to be.
Mhm.
And it's very helpful.
Love that. I love that example. Since we're not going deep enough, I've got one for you.
Okay.
So you mentioned there about your talk about like, if I only was on this TED talk, I would be enough.
Mhm.
And this is actually really personal. It's funny how this works out. I was having a conversation with one of my coaches last week, and we kind of got to this, digging down, digging down, digging down, and sort of this eternal struggle about my value coming from what I do or produce or actions. And he asked me a question. He said, "Well, where do you get your enoughness from?" And I was like, "Ooh, I don't have a good answer." He was like, "Well, here's some people." So I have a commitment. I'm going and asking other people, like, where do you get your enoughness from? Someone who, with different spiritual backgrounds and that sort of thing. If this revelation was about TEDx, about you, not feel like you weren't enough or to be enough, I had to be on a TED stage. That's like the one story or lens you had. Where do you get your enoughness from?
Well, I just need to close my eyes, take a couple deep breaths, and realize I'm already enough just as I am, just as you are, just as the person listening is. From a soul level, we are all enough. We all come from the divine. And we're here on earth trying to chase, trying to prove, trying to just get, when we already have it all within us. And I think the most beautiful thing about the work I get to do and that other people have done for me is we get to help each other unlock it, to unlock the feeling of I'm good inside, no matter if I get the TED stage or not. Like I am. And getting to that point of I feel like I'm enough no matter what is going on. And it's letting go of that performance mode. It's letting go of that I have something to prove mode. It's letting go of I have to convince you mode. And it's just like letting go of all of that is like the most freeing thing in the world because we all have access to it. We truly do. And that is like so much fun to play into. So honestly, my enoughness just comes from really the divine and knowing that I'm enough no matter what. No matter what. It's already here. It's really that simple.
Yeah. It's interesting to have these like mantras about, for myself, about maximizing my experience of life and maximizing my impact on others. And it's just been like fun to play with. Now you get to define what that means. Like, what
Mhm.
does maximize mean? Does it, and what to your point, I'm finding sort of the interesting part of that, if it is maximizing my own experience of life, what I have found and enjoying every moment of that looks a lot like letting go of trying to maximize my experience of life and just being, is at least where I'm in the beginning journey of that. But I've found that to be true. But it's just the most paradoxical way to look at maximization.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy because, like I said, years ago, I would have heard this conversation and been like, "Okay, easy for you to say, like, you've already made it," or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things that we can point and say, "Oh, easy for you because,"
Mm.
versus just being that thing, being that energy, being that frequency. Yeah, it's like I said, it's fun. Like, I was at this event and just being me, being my frequency. And there was this guy there, and he was a lawyer, and he was like talking to me, he was trying to be a little combative about a certain topic. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I'm not going to be combative back. I'm not trying to prove to you anything, like, whatever. Anyways, and then we were talking about what I do, and this other guy was like overhearing. Ultimately, this guy was about to go catch his flight and he hands me his card and he's like, "Can you please call me? Like, I want to talk to you." And he goes, "I know this seems weird, seems creepy." He's like, "But like, can you call me?" And he's like, "I overheard your conversation. I apologize." But like, and I'm like, "Okay, this is random. I've never had anyone do this before." Anyways, I call him and I was like, "Hey, like, what's going on? How can I help you?" And he literally hired me on the spot. He was like, "I could hear what you were talking about, and there was something about, like, your energy, like, he's like, "I sold my first company for X amount of money, more money than any person could even fathom dreaming." And he's just like, "I'm not okay inside. I'm not happy. Like, I don't know." And he's like, "Something told me, like, I need to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." And, anyways, needless to say, I started working with him and like he's really shifting the way he is thinking and speaking about his life and how he is showing up to attract in the very things that he desires versus the very things society has told him that he needs or he needs to prove or he needs to get. And like that is realizing like we're enough already and we get to live that frequency of being enough. But that again, that's just another example of signaling out when, 10 years ago, it was like I was like struggling to get clients. Like, how do I get my next client? How do I, and now people are, oh, here's my card. Please call me. I'm like, oh, okay, wow. So again, it's just that concept of being the thing, being the energy, stepping into it, signaling out exactly what your heart desires and the difference you want to make in the world. And then it'll reflect back to you and you will get back exactly what you're putting out. And sometimes that's opportunities.
Yeah. What would you say to the person who wants to put out that frequency, kind of knows what it is, but they're scared of feeling X, like scared of judgment, scared of how it's going to be received by others. They kind of have this like fear
Mhm.
backing to their own authenticity.
Yeah.
Uh, what's what what are the strategies there? Where's the shift?
Keep being scared.
Mm.
You're already scared. If you want to keep being it, keep being it. Or you get to choose to not be it. You get to
Yeah.
choose to wake the F up and start being another frequency because you're already scared. If you're telling me that oh, I'm scared to do this, I'm scared to do that, I'm like, okay, well, you're already scared. Like some people say, I'm scared to do it, but they think it's going to be scarier once they do it. It's like, well, you're already scared. You're already putting out there, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. So you're tracking back. It's scary, it's scary, it's scary versus it's exciting. There's an opportunity here. And so again, this is just something I work with my clients on because we are all so programmed. We are all so programmed. We're so programmed to do this much compared to the abundance of what we get to do, what we get to experience, what we get to call in. And, I think one of the things I've discovered with the people I've worked with, and even in my own life, it's really interesting how we think we're gonna be happy when, like, we keep chasing the carrot. Like, I remember when I first got my very first job, I was out of college. I think I was making, like, $42,000 a year, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, once I hit 75,000, uh, oh my watch out world, like, I am going
Yeah.
to be rolling it in, right?" And then that 75 became, wait, once I hit 100,000, once I hit that six figure as a woman, oh, you better. Like, everyone's gonna be looking at me. And then, oh, once I hit 1,000,000, when I hit 5,000,000, like, it's literally laughable. But often like, you don't realize it until you get there, and that's where I said, like, when you get the thing that you want and you still feel empty inside, that is
Mhm.
scary. What's also scary is things being just good enough. You're just okay. Things aren't too bad, but they're not great. That's another scary place to be. One of the best places that I've experienced to be is being able to do whatever it is my heart desires that's in alignment, and I don't have to worry about the financial outcome, about, what people think of me because I trust that it's all okay. It's already going to be taken care of. And some people may say, "Oh, well, must be nice, you don't have to worry about the finances." It's like, "No, you're right. I don't want to worry about the finances because again, if I create worry around finances, I'll keep attracting worry around finances. I get to trust that the financials will take care of themselves." People
Mhm.
that worry about finances often are the same people that are going through Starbucks all the time, that are buying the car that is, of another level. They're creating an experience in their life where they're constantly worried about their finances because they don't have their finances in a space of alignment. And so there's a difference there.
Uh, I'm interested in we can go down a little bit of a side quest, or if you're like, "That's
All
not
right,
gonna
I'm
make
up
sense,"
for
it's fine.
anything.
Yes, with the tuning in to frequencies, I have, um, dove in to the last year a lot more into things like consciousness theory and non-dualism and how, we have the superposition, right? Where like two electrons that are separated by 1,000 miles will act as if they're next to each other
Yeah.
because they used to be next to each other. And this interconnectedness is sort of outside our own consciousness. Is there an attempt for you to try to explain to someone who's questioning like this whole theory, or is it sort of or do you take like a self-evidence approach of like, look, you put out the signal, this happens, therefore it must sort of be true? Like what's your take, or do you come from a different, religious or spiritual sense?
I mean, one, I don't try to convince anyone of anything. Like, it's not my
It's a
I
good
don't
plan for life, honestly.
yeah, like, I'm not trying to prove to you anything. I mean, not
Yeah.
at all. Now, when you start talking about energy and frequency and putting it out there, for example, someone who's a Christian, say, they go, "Oh, well, I'm a Christian, and, energy and all that." It's like, maybe that I don't know. They're just like, because they're Christian, talking about energy doesn't make them feel comfortable. My response to that is, if you believe in prayer, you believe in energy, you believe in frequency, you believe in the quantum field. Because if you are praying, you are sending a signal out to a specific person, a specific energy, whether it's God, Jesus, the universe, the divine, Buddha, whatever. You believe in energy because you're sending a frequency out. Every thought we have, every word we speak carries a vibrational frequency, and it always wants to find their match. So this is why prayer works, because we send out a specific calling, prayer to someone. And I truly believe it gets to them. Now, whether it goes
Mm,
through God or Jesus or whatever belief system first before it gets to them, you can believe that. But
mhm,
at the end of the day, I know that person is getting that energy. I know
mm,
when I signal something out, it is going into the field, and the field is very organized and doing exactly what you say. And this is how powerful the field is. So if I told you right now, do not think of a red apple, you're thinking of a red apple, even though I said don't do it.
mhm,
Okay.
mm,
So all the field knows is apple, red apple, red apple. So we get to be very cognizant of we should only be thinking about what we want, not what we don't want, because the field only knows that thing. So, like, as a mother, I have had moments where the worst case scenario comes over my brain with my children. I
mhm,
know every mom out there, probably every parent, right? Like that fear. Anytime that comes into my mind, any situation that I don't want that comes into my head because I'm human and this happens, all I do is I wrap it with light and love. And I'm like, God, please take this. This is not going to happen. Thank you for just everything great happening. And I'll rewrite it and I resend it out. That's just a
mm,
practice I do because I aware of the field and how it works now.
right.
Before I wasn't. And so, it's fun. You get to play you're in the field no matter what. You're already here. Your particles are already aligned doing what you're telling them to do. It's just, are you choosing to align them with exactly what you want, to call in what you want? Or are you aligning them in a chaotic form that is reflecting back to you a life where your marriage is falling apart, where you feel like you have no time, where you can't sleep, where your body hurts, you have joint pain, and you feel like crap? Because
Mm,
the choice is
mhm.
literally up to us.
I had a conscious leadership coach one time talk about, or have me do an exercise of whenever I was thinking about something, like thinking about what I should do about something, like make a decision. She was like, what I want you to do is not do, what do I think about this? She's like, I want you to ask yourself, what do I feel about this? And for me, like that reframe of checking it, like when she told me that, I had that reaction of just like, what do you even, what does that even mean? Like you just said words. Like, what does that even mean? You just put words together. But then in the moment when it was like something would come up and I'd be like, my mind would go to one of the loops, right? Or it would go to a story, or it would start rationalizing itself around a million different ways. I stopped like, sorry, what do I actually feel about it? And the level of clarity was like, almost like, I was like, all right, well, I guess, you're just like, I guess she's right. She's onto something, I had to admit like how much more clarity I got just like reframing that decision.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like a feeling decision versus a thinking decision.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
alignment. Um, you know, you talk a lot about the inner pharmacy, activating your inner pharmacy. Can you tell me what you mean by activate your inner pharmacy?
Yes. So essentially, we are our own doctors and we are prescribing and dispensing all the biochemicals of how we feel. And when I learned that we could shift our biochemistry, all the hormones in our body, the chemicals in our body in 150 to 300 milliseconds by shifting a thought alone, I'm like, wait, what? That's wild.
Mhm,
And I share this because I am someone who in my early 20s went to a psychiatrist and got put on 3 mind-altering medications at 22,
Mm.
23 years old. I didn't even have a fully developed brain. I wanted to kill myself. I was not okay inside. And I thought that I was supposed to go get medication to fix myself. And luckily, not gonna go in the whole story, but I had a moment where I had this little clarity, and I realized I was the only person that could make myself feel happy and whole in my life. And that's when I set forth on a journey to really work on reprogramming my mind and holistically healing myself and figuring out ways. Like, if we can rewire computers, I can rewire my brain, right? And what I discovered along the way is that through our thoughts and how we're speaking, it will dispense chemicals in our brain, neurotransmitters that influence our emotions and our behavior. And it's like, oh my gosh, like we have more power over our biology than what we have been led to believe. And it all starts with the mind. The body is going to follow the mind all the time. And there are certain instances where you can force your body to do something to help shift the mind. And so it can work vice versa. But often, more times than not, it's the mind controlling the body. So your pharmacy is your mind. Your brain is the strongest pharmacy on planet Earth. You get to choose what you're prescribing, what you're dispensing. And often we let other people choose our prescriptions. We let other people medicate us. And I'm here to say, wake the F up. Like, you don't have to take anything you don't want to take. So stop thinking you have to. And so that's the inner pharmacy that we all have going on within us every day. It is more powerful than any medication on this planet. And so it's just learning how to access it. And one thing that I'll do is it's not just the thoughts and the words we speak, but I'll also marry it with, you know, herbs and nutrients and different things that I've studied that I know help this physical body, because we are this spiritual being in a physical body, and our body needs those raw materials to be able to produce neurochemicals like GABA. So we need vitamin B6 to create that GABA that has that calming effect on the body. We need the amino acid tryptophan to help create that serotonin, which is a mood stabilizing hormone. So the beauty that I love with what I get to do is it's not only working on the mind and the frequency and everything we're omitting, but it's also strengthening this physical body that we are in. And so we're using Mother Earth and we're using nature and we're using herbs and we're using all of this to strengthen this vessel. And then we also strengthen it with our thoughts and our words. We get to use it all. Why would we not? It's like being a pianist and not using all the keys on the piano. It's like being someone who plays the guitar and we're only strumming one, there's only one string we're strumming. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we got this whole body, this whole makeup. And so what
Mm.
I've learned on my journey through healing my own brain and healing myself is like there is so much out there and opportunities where we get to play. And most people are only playing one or two tunes. And that's why they're struggling when your body is this beautiful symphony.
Yeah, beautifully said. And I think that the call out here on that is making sure that you are aligned, like that you value yourself and your own life with enough time to to do this type of work, right? To work on yourself, to even give yourself enough silence to think about like what are the thoughts? What are the stories? How am I? What frequency am I playing? Like and what do I want to put out? Like just that space, I think that is what I'm hearing of all the things you said is like the first step is like giving yourself permission to have the space to be able to do some of this work and introspection so that your life and experience of life can shift.
Yeah.
Would you say that is it would you agree or no?
Yeah. Yeah. And I love how you said give yourself permission. I mentioned my
Mm.
friend Courtney McDermott earlier, and her book is called Give Yourself Permission. It's
Oh
a
wow.
great book. And it's giving ourselves permission. And yeah, like quit waiting for somebody else. I just had a young lady in my office sitting in the chair. We were going over some stuff and I'm helping her with some different things. And I'm like, quit waiting for someone to give you permission to start your business, to get healthy, to do better. Like, give yourself permission first. Like, just
Mm.
do it. And it's like we're waiting for the invitation to be able to do something when we can just do it. Just
Mm.
do it. Show up, be the energy, be the thing. For sure.
Dr. Anna, this is fantastic. We'll put a link to your website and your books and all that stuff in. But like, where are you? What's the best way if someone's trying to get a hold of you? Is it LinkedIn, email? Like, what's the best place for them to find you?
I mean, LinkedIn is good, Instagram is good. I do have a brick and mortar office in Bakersfield, California, so people fly from all over. They come see me in person, or I work with people remotely. And so we have the Happy Whole You is my company. You can actually call the number, text the number. Yeah, this day and age, if you're interested, you'll figure it out.
You'll
You'll find
show,
me. It'll
they'll
show up.
find you. Anna, thank you so much for the work you do. Thank you for giving us so much value during this time together. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for being a part of the No Limit Leadership family. This isn't just a podcast. We're building a movement of no limit leaders driven to unlock our greatness and lead the world forward. If this made you think or gave you something useful, please, 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 right now, go hit follow and then share it with one leader you believe in. Challenge limits, develop leaders, fuel greatness.